Okay, guess we can give it a start now. See, with another couple of folks already jumped in. So again, welcome guys to Office Hours. Jonathan Grant at your service, Enterprise Account Team Lead. Jumping in for Emily on this one. And well, so in this case, last week, there was a project management series, which was the part 2. This one would be the part 3. Last week was covering the quotes tab, orders, and if I'm not mistaken, the measure tab as well. For this one, we're going to be covering, which would be jobs tab, billing, and also the budget. So we're going to be starting from which is the production workflow, where we would see how jobs would be helpful, also see how financial will be working in ProLine, and lastly, how to see your true profitability from which in the budget tab. So with that being said, let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Let me see. Okay. So with that, my screen should be showing here. I'm going to be using one of my test projects, which is in my demo account. Look at Brian Hurlston. Let me just pull this up away over here. And so we're going to go ahead, project details, head over to the jobs tab right here. So jobs is going to be very helpful in the instance of on a specific job, you could be providing multiple service. So each job can be logged in. So you're fully aware of what stage each service you're providing to a customer. So let's think of an example of a external renovation, right? It could be possibly that on a project you're doing likely roof replacement, gutters replacement, new soffit or fascia. So each job will be possibly, each service you're doing, and you can keep logs in for your production team. So they are fully aware of where they're at, which each one of those services. With that being said, you can go about doing this manually, or you can have it automatically created upon having an assigned quote. We'll be touching base on how you can go about doing that. But first things first, let me show you how you can go about doing it, starting right here, doing it manually. So right here, you see that my account already has some services. I have roof replacement, proposal, roof repair, siding, and gutters. You can actually change the name of the job. So for instance, it says gutters, but you can go about changing it to gutters replacement. And with that being said, so right here, you'll have the breakdown and which would say what kind of service you're providing to this customer, which would be gutters. You can have different kind of stages, which would be created upon the company level. And we'll be talking about that in a bit. I have a couple already here in which I have planning to be worked on, currently being worked on, gutters have been replaced, or for whatever reason, it could have been blocked as well. So we can change this however we want, which also jobs have their own stages, and we will be seeing that in a moment. You can also change the assignee. Currently, it will be pulling over from the main assignee of the project entirely. However, you can change it to somebody else on your team. So, for example, I'm the main assignee on this project, but let's say Dylan Dixon is going to be the person assigned to take care of this job on the production side. So you can just go about changing that person, and it will now show up for Dylan to take care of on his account user. Quote pages. And this will show up if this information was pulled over from a signed quote, which we'll be seeing in a bit. That would be in the instance of having the service automatically created upon having a signed quote. Associated events, you can have a couple of events right here in which, for example, let's say for gutters replacement, you're going to be doing the job on the 8th of December or approximately later. Those will show up right here. I'll give you guys an example of how that can be done. So let's say I'm going to say production all day, and I'm going to select the service that says gutters replacement. Let's see, 8th of December. It's going to be a full day job. Let's see, I'm going to change the assignee to Dylan as well. Let me just make sure this is changed. Okay. That event was booked. Also, we see that project just moved over to the job schedule stage. And we can go back to jobs and you can actually see right here that event. So you can click here and you can see the details of the event right here. Now, you do have the ability to also go about doing a job description if you want to have more insight of what you're going to be doing here. So for the example of it, I'm just going to go ahead and say gutters replacement to be done before, let's say, end of year. So very seamless and it's very helpful. So your production team has more insight or more information on what they have to get done. Okay. But let's say now, well, we're not only going to be doing gutter replacement, we're going to be doing roofing. So let me go ahead and do another roof replacement. We can leave it as it is right here. We have multiple service. Now, this one I'm going to leave it assigned to Jonathan, just for instance, for him to be, Dylan's going to be doing the gutters replacement and Jonathan to be taking care of the roof replacement. Same thing here. You can go about having different stages. And this one for roof replacement, I have materials to be ordered, materials. Possibly I have this one to be materials to be received. We already ordered them. We're waiting to receive them. And let's say materials received, right? These stages are totally customizable on how you guys want them to show up. Also, you can have the quote pages and associated events as well here. So with that being said, let me show you guys from a company level, where would you go? So hamburger menu, company settings, then you should be able to see jobs and services. From here, you can see the project services you have. And let's see. Right here, you can have the name of the service. You can have it automatically create jobs, and you can possibly have the color that you want it to show up on the jobs Kanban, which will be seen. So planning to be worked on, these are the current stage that I created for this one. So planning in progress, blocked or complete, these are the statuses that you will be selecting, that you want to make sure how the progress is being done for the specific job. And you can also have the ability to, let's say, for instance, when the gutters has been replaced, do I want the project or the job to continue to show up, or do I want it to be hidden? So you can just click the archive job stage, which will be very helpful right there. We do have the ability to also create dynamic fields, which can show up within this specific job right here. This will show up. If you want to add more services, you can do so. Just type in the name, depending on the kind of service you provide to your customer, and just go rocking from there. Let's see. Do we have any questions so far before I continue? Mhm. Okay. Seems that we're good. Okay. So I created this, the service is created. It will be automatically created upon having a signed quote. But how do I connect these to my quotes? Just to show you guys, you have to go to your quote templates. Have a couple here. So let's say I go to Owens Corning roof replacement. And I'm going to go to a structure page. So upon here, if a customer signs off on any of these options, either good, better, and best, I want that roof replacement service to be created. Just go to the gear icon, go to service, and here, you just make sure you have this selected. Also, for any gutters, just make sure the service is also selected, and that would automatically create that service for you when the quote is signed. To show you guys how that actually is done, let me pull up another project that I have that I already did had a signed quote. This is another project. So let's say I had this quote signed today. The customer signed off on a couple of services. So let's say the same one we're talking about. He selected the good option and the 6-inch seamless gutters. This enabled it to create these services right here, these jobs. So it pulls over the good Owens Corning Oak Ridge that is from the title of the good option and also the 6-inch seamless gutters. And this is where you guys can see that it's pulling over the quote page. So there you go. The system can automatically, or when it's automatically created, the job description can be pulled over from your signed quote. So that can potentially help you without needing to manually type things in. So the description, which would be right about, let me show you right here. This description that you could potentially add within your quote should be showing up right here in your jobs right there. So very helpful for you guys to try to save some time so your team has a bit more information. Let me head over to the jobs Kanban side. You can see right here, based on the stages you created from the company level for each service, you can have like stages right here as well. You can just drag and drop those. Let's say from a production standpoint, you just want to hop into the jobs Kanban. You want to see, okay, on roof replacements, let's see how many jobs we have there on materials to be ordered, materials to be received, or materials received, right? So let's say, for instance, I have this project for Jonathan Grant. I haven't ordered the materials. Okay, I'm going to start working on that. And when I go about changing, let's see here, materials to be received, it changes the project from one stage to another. Okay. For the example of the gutters, let's say I already finished a job. You potentially could have seen that I had a stage which was archived. So I'm just going to go drop Jonathan here, and we have an archive stage. Gutters has been replaced, so we're all good, showing in color green. Yeah. So very seamless and helpful when you guys need to make sure you're aware of what kind of job you're currently doing on a project or multiple service. All right. Let me just stop there for the meantime. Any questions? Seems that we're good. All right. So going from there, I'm going to go show you guys our, let's see, the billing tab. So if we go to billing, I'm going to use this project for Jonathan Grant since I already had a signed quote. We have two tabs within the billing tab, which would be invoice and payments. So invoices would be the invoices you're sending out to your customers. Could be likely the oh wait, sorry, let me see. I have a question. Let's see, Eric Miles. When you archive, are those numbers count showing up in the pipeline? These should likely not be showing up. So as you can see here, this is already archived. So it's not counting up. All right. You can see we only have one that's not archived, and that's the pipeline count we have for this one. Pretty sure that should answer the question. Yeah. Cool. If there's no other questions. All right, how did you set up the archive? Let me show you. Go to hamburger menu, then go to company settings, go to job and services. I'm going to go head over to gutters. And I want to make sure that any gutters that I have replaced, you just click on this little eye icon. If slashed out, that means it's going to be archived. So I'll just click here. This will archive the selected job stage. Yes. So currently, that is where you're going to be selecting this. Cool. All right. Good question. Let me get back to Jonathan Grant project. With that being said, all right. So I had a quote signed. The total of the job came out to be 23,315.65. The billing summary is one of our most requested features, which we have here now. So with that, it would give the contract total would be based off what you had on a signed quote. Total invoice, these are going to give you the numbers of the invoice you have sent to your customers. So let's say for instance on Jonathan, I had the contract total at 23, but potentially I only had sent him out like $15,000 in invoice. So it would only give you that amount here. The uninvoiced balance would give you the remaining amount that you have not invoiced your customer, and payments received would be based on the payments you received from your customer. Outstanding balance would be based of what the money that's currently pending to receive from your customer. Let me see. I think we have another question here. To get percentage of profit. Let's see. Let me see. Just to be sure, you're referring to profit margin, or what would you be referring to as? Yeah. So profit margin, if you would like, I can briefly show you that. When you're creating a quote, you can have these set up from within your company level. Hopefully this answers your question. For each quote template you have, you can set up from your quote settings the margin you want to have set. So from here, you can see the profit margin. I want to make sure that for each job I'm doing for a customer, I'm going to be winning a 35%, for example. Or you can actually have it signed up for 35, 40, depends on how much you want to be showing. You know, you want to be winning off that job. Let me know if that answers your question. And also, you see just button. Shoot over the cost and it goes over. Trying to understand that part. Most likely we can review that. We can say that potentially answers your question when we hit the budget tab. What's the best way to keep track about how you are tracking your profit? Same. Okay. Um, that would be something we can review potentially in the future, Eric. Most likely, if you want to keep track of your profit, I would potentially say that you can go to the dashboard, profitability, and you can see what's your profit margin from here. Hopefully, this gives you a bit more information at a glance for each project. Let me know if that actually helps a bit. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, please do reach out to our support team. Most likely, if you need a little practice or best suggestions of how to track that, they can give you some guidance there. Awesome. So let me just continue. So this information we're seeing here on the billing summary, just to go back to this. With that being said, I already sent all the invoices to my customers. You can create a new invoice, which will be based off. It can be a run and balance kind of invoice. In my account, I have a couple in which I have deposit, progress invoicing, and final progress invoice as well. So you can have running balances in which your deposit can be as of 30%. Then you can have a progress invoice, which would be calculated to 60, and your final would be possibly 100. Other can be standalone invoice. It can be depending most likely on your situation, in which some prefer to do running balances throughout a project, or they just want to do a one standalone invoice at the end of the job as well. So it just depends. We do give the ability. Let me just see if I can hide controls right there. Okay. From the customer perspective in our project portal, you can now, when you send this over to them, you can have them see their summary as well. So let me just have that. When you go to billing, they can see right here what the total project cost is, the current amount they have due, what they have already paid, and what the balance is remaining. So for this specific project, everything is already done. So that's already well taken care of. All right. So, all right. Payments. If you're using ProLine's processor payment for ACH and credit card, you don't have to do any manual entry. Upon sending an invoice, the customer can just click on the pay now option, and that would potentially just have them select what they would be paying via credit card or ACH. And that would be logged in here automatically without any manual entry. However, if you're receiving cash payment or check, you would just have to go about choosing the payment type, select cash, the amount the customer paid, the date it was paid, and the invoice. In my case, I already have all my invoice already paid. So, and you can also send them the receipt, which would be this one. This is what they will receive in their email inbox. So that being said, all right. Let's see if you guys have any questions there. So I'm guessing no questions on this one. Okay. So lastly, we're going to be talking about the budget tab, which will give us a project analysis. This is when you guys will see also your contract value would be based on what was signed off on the quote. So the same 23,000 that we're seeing on the billing section will be here as well. Revenue is going to be based off the payments you have received from your customer. In my case, I don't have anything connected for merchants. So you will also have your merchant fees, any refunds that were issued, chargeback, or ACH returns. So your gross revenue would be based off the payments you receive from your customer. But if there's any merchant fees that you're assuming or passing along, so it would show you your net revenue right here. All right. So just to point that out. So we'll reviewing the cost section. These will be based off the line item summary of what you selected upon that signed quote. So for example, I signed a quote in which the customer selected or we're selecting several labor items and materials. These are going to be just cost based. These are not including your profit margin. Just to point that out, it's basically what's that job is costing you, right? Just to explain a bit more of the percentage. So if you click here, when you signed a quote, it would show you wanted your costs were going to be based off, let's say 14,000. You did not incur in any additional cost for this job. So it's staying at a 0%, which is actually good. That means that, hey, I'm actually on par with what I actually had planned for this job. But obviously, in the reality, it could be possible that you had to buy additional materials, and this can change. So currently, it shows to be at 0. But let's say, for example, instead of 4,900, this turned out to be 5,100. Let me see there. Give it a moment, and you can see how that number just changed, right? So it says you had planned 4,900, but the actual um, cost was 5,100. So initially, that's going to affect what possibly you had in your profit margin. So let's say, for example, I had planned a certain amount, but since I made some changes, the actual is also modified. Let me just put that back where it was. See, cool. All right. So a feature that most of our customers why? Let me think about it. Oh, okay. Why is gross profit negative? Gotcha. Good question. The reason why this gross profit is negative is because on this specific project, I had a profit margin of 35%, but obviously that was what I was thinking I was going to win on the specific one. But however, I had to pay commissions out to one of the sales rep, which I was about to talk about at the moment. So that actually changed it to a negative amount, right? Since I had to pay commission out, my profit margin has changed. It also being affected. Let me know if that answers your question. Mm. It is lower by what negative? Let's see. Okay, let me see. So currently, let me just point this out. We had a profit margin, which was going to be initially of 35%. However, this is what we had planned. Unfortunately, this is my actual winning on this job. So instead, the negative is showing that I'm 25% what I actually had planned. So for instance, on this is the commission that actually is affecting what I actually want to show. This commission is what is affecting my profit margin, showing the negative amount. If it was alignment to what I had planned, it would actually show a 0%. So I'm a minus 25.7 below what I had planned for the specific job. Yeah, that is it. That's your actual profit. That's right. So your actual profit margin or gross profit for this job is actually 4,991.53 because you had to pay commission out to one of the sales reps. So that actually affected. So meantime, let me continue. We continue talking about commission. Let's say you can add commission on a project during the sign quote, or sorry, what the creation of the quote, or you can also do it afterwards. Right. So most people, we always advise our customers to, if you want to make sure you're having your numbers, ahead, you have your numbers right. Always, when you're creating a quote, and I can show you guys here, go to the pencil icon of a quote, go to budget planner, and you can go about having your commission estimate right here. You can have, I already have it automatic, but it could be potentially that within your settings, you don't have it and you have to set the commission after you send the quote, after it was signed as well. Let's see. Let me just close this. Uh, can you show us the profit of this project in the report section? Let me look that up. Okay. So this is the project we're talking about right here that you can see in your profitability. You can also, within the dashboard profitability, you can click here and it'll give you, it'll pull out the project for you. All right. One thing I do want to take advantage talking about now, we have the breakdown for job total, job profit, commission, but what I want to talk a bit is your commission paid. So this is a new functionality we just rolled out in which we have your commission assigned, but possibly you want to keep track of what you already paid the specific rep on this job. So you can go about clicking here and just start typing in the amount. So let's say this person was already paid the 1,165.78. Yeah. And that way you can have that information that, okay, I already paid this guy. Also, you guys can also, from creating a quote, you can have your service tax added, or you can just add your service tax afterwards that you had for this job. All right. If you potentially have your QuickBooks connected, you can have everything sent over to QuickBooks. These items or these cost line items are not synced to QuickBooks. I don't have it set up within here yet on my demo account, but you can potentially do that if you go to company settings, go to, let's see, price list, and let's say for each cost category, you can select like, okay, when a quote is signed, when I have this cost category selected within a quote, I want it to be sent over to QuickBooks. So I just have to have this set up here. Select the type. Is it going to be an expense, a bill? And what's going to be the category that's going to be sent over to in your QuickBooks account? All right. You can also go about adding your receipts. So if you had a receipt for this material cost category, you can lump them in like a PDF, and you can add them right here for anybody from your accounting department. They want to review it. They can just go ahead and look into that there. All right. So yeah, guys, that is looking into the features that we have, or the jobs tabs, billing tab, and budget. Let me see if we have any more, a couple of questions. Okay. Well, if there's no additional questions, please do reach out to our support if you need some assistance with regard to your account that have set up, or also your account manager that you may have assigned can potentially help you out with anything you want to be accomplishing here. If you need a bit more assistance on understanding the jobs tab, billing, or the budget tab as well. But hopefully this information helps out, and hope you guys have a good one.